Hey friends, it's Brad Brain. It's been a little while since I filmed a video. The reason for that is I was down in the Okanagan for a month. We had a little bit of a working vacation. My son has hockey camp, so we go down there and he goes to hockey camp, a little bit of a family vacation mixed in. Now, if you don't know the Okanagan, this is a highly desirable place. The Okanagan is great. Think beaches and wineries and fruit stands and 30-degree weather. It's a really beautiful place. So, it's quite a treat to be able to go down there. And now that I'm back in town, people are saying, well, hey, how was the trip? Honestly, it wasn't great. There was just so much stuff that you got this idealized view of what you think the trip is going to be, and then the actual experience. And in this case, the actual experience just didn't meet the expectations. So one thing is the whole province is on fire right now. These forest fires, we're lucky up here up north, although there's one, at least one, that's was recently in the Pine Pass. It actually stopped us from getting home the day that we were trying to get home, but that's nothing compared to down south. It is so crazy. Like every single day we were under smoke, sometimes so thick it like impaired your visibility. It was just a horrible disaster, all the forest fires. On top of that, just this cacophony of bad things all happening and or just inconvenient things, right? Like, so I'm trying to do a working vacation, but now I got spotty Wi-Fi and bad cell service too, even in downtown Penticton. So good luck trying to do some work nowadays without cell service and Wi-Fi. I was lucky enough to be able to spend some time in the Penticton Library. So shout out to the Penticton Public Library. But they're 20 kilometers away, so I couldn't just pick up my computer. I'd have to make a trip downtown to get anything done. And just, one thing after the other. And stuff back home that I couldn't do anything about, like somebody hit my fence in my horse pasture, knocked it down, horse escapes. I'm 1,200 kilometers away and I got a loose horse. And then we ran out of water in my house. So many things, right? And the other thing is the campground that we're in. So it was right on a golf course, which that part was great. But we just had 15 amp service because the campground's so popular, which meant we couldn't run all of our appliances at once. So air conditioning, 30 degrees, it sounds pretty good. Not if you don't have air conditioning, it's not, right? And just so many things. My kid was hurt was a big thing. That shaped our entire trip. He has a very painful knee condition and he's still not healed up from it. So just, a lot of stuff to deal with, right? And then client problems I had to solve, client fires, if you will, that we had to put out. So just a lot of stuff. And it was grinding me down. Like I actually felt sad. That's not the way you're supposed. It wasn't the rest and rejuvenation. It wasn't the family fun. It wasn't the rest and relaxation. It was a grind. I had all of the hassles of work from home without the convenience of actually being home, right? So it wore on me, right? And I was feeling a bit sad. Not no, don't get me wrong. I'm not saying I was full out depressed or something like that, because it's a very serious condition. But enough that friends that know me, they say, are you okay? And I mean, for a day or two, I wouldn't say I was, terrible. I wouldn't say I was okay either, right? Just, feeling a little sad. So here's the point of all this stuff is after you spend a month in a travel trailer, especially with a 12-year-old as your roommate, it's a little cramped, right? And I like my travel trailer, but it got me thinking about getting a new one. Now, the type I'd be getting, I haven't priced these things out yet, but, we're talking probably $35,000 or more, right? So here's the point. I don't need a new travel trailer. Why I would even consider one was totally because of my state of mind, and it had nothing to do with anything that made sense. So I say this all the time. I say financial planning is all about making decisions that are consistent with your financial objectives, right? Making decisions that are consistent with your objectives. Well, there is nothing consistent with my objectives about dropping 35 grand on another travel trailer. I already got one, right? I'd trade the old one in, but still, It doesn't make any sense. This was totally because of the state of mind that I happen to be in. And this happens all of the time. We make decisions, especially financial decisions, based on emotions, and then we will justify that decision after the fact with some attempt at logic, right? We rationalize it. Oh, I really need this travel trailer because of whatever. My old one's older, it's all great family fun with the kids. And, no, that's not actually true. Certainly family time is very important to me, but I don't need to spend $35,000 to buy a travel trailer to do that. I don't even like camping, to be honest with you. Not real camping. What do we do nowadays? It's not camping. When you're staying adjacent to a golf course and you bring your PlayStation down and you got a refrigerator and a shower, that's not, well, it's enjoyable. I wouldn't call it camping, right? You can buy a lot of trips to Disneyland with $35,000, right? It doesn't make any sense for me to spend that much money. So here's the point of all this stuff is emotions are a big driver when it comes to financial decisions. And there's two that are the biggest drivers of all when it comes to this stuff. That is fear and greed. Fear and greed. Fear and greed. There's so many people who make investment decisions and other financial decisions too, based on fear and greed. Here's an example. So recently I wrote a newspaper column about how much do you need to retire? And there was a comment from somebody that said he'd rather buy Bitcoin. It's gone up by 200% over the last 10 years. And I don't know if this math is right or wrong, but tell me how that comment wasn't even relevant to the article, right? But tell me how buying something that's gone up by 200% per year for 10 years is disconnected from fear, which in this case would be the fear of missing out, or greed, right? We want to get in on that action, get in on that rocket ship, right? It's going to the moon. Maybe. But why this is important is because it's not just cryptocurrency that's based on fear and greed. People make investment decisions and all sorts of decisions, right? Like me temporarily having this confused state, which made me legitimately consider, like I was actually thinking about going to the lot, but now that I got back in town and checking out some new models, legitimately consider dropping $35,000 on a travel trailer when I don't even like camping that much. So what happens? Now, here's the thing. If we were to think about a typical investment, and unless it's something like a bank account, you will at some point probably see some type of ups and downs, right? You see some good times, cools off a little bit, comes back a little bit, right? You see some ups and downs. Okay, now, kind of by definition, nobody is going to buy an investment that they're not optimistic about. When we buy something, we're always optimistic about it. But let's say this thing goes up, okay? Well, what happens if it goes up? That reinforces our decision, right? We feel even better about it. So we start with optimism. Now we're going to get more enthusiastic. And now we're going to get really excited. And now we're going to get ecstatic, right? The higher it goes, the better we feel. But let's think about that for a little bit, because here's the situation that sets up. That sets us up to be the most enthusiastic about buying an investment when it's sky high, when it, for sake of discussion, at the maximum point of financial risk. We don't want to buy investments after they appreciate, yet we're hardwired to think that that's a good thing, right? We look at the past performance and extrapolate that out, think it's going to continue forever, and think we got to get in on that action before it's too late, to think we got to buy some of that stuff because we don't want to miss out. Okay, but if we think about things that go up and then they cool off, then why would we buy here, right? Logically, that doesn't make sense. Emotionally, people do it. Logically, it doesn't make sense. So let's follow that curve. So let's say it cools down a little bit. So initially what will happen is people will say, it's no big deal. And then maybe they'll, as it goes down a little bit more, they'll say, that's okay. I'm in it for the long term. And then it goes down a little bit more and they'll go, well, wait a sec, what's going on here? And it goes down a bit more and a bit more and more. Progressively, people feel worse and worse about it, right? The lower it gets, the worse people feel about it. Now, I would think that anybody watching videos like this will be familiar with the expression buy low, and sell high, right? That's pretty good way to that's we're going to stack the deck in our favor if we're buying low and selling high, right? But emotionally, that's not our experience. Emotionally, when things go down in price, that can be gut wrenching. And what can happen is people, when it gets lower and lower and lower, eventually people, they just capitulate. They say, get me out. I got to get out now before I lose the rest of my money. Because what happened is they take that recent trend of it coming down, and they extrapolate that out. They think it's going to go to zero. So here's what happens. People will feel pessimistic to the point where they just, they throw their hands up in disgust and walk away when things are, for sake of discussion, an ideal time to buy. That's the low part, right? We want to buy low. So here's the point. We like investments that go up, and that can be risky. We hate investments that go down, but that can be the opportunity. Does that make sense? Hope it does. Anyway, bear this in mind the next time you're thinking about something, whether it's buying a travel trailer or maybe selling an investment that's come down, or buying Bitcoin if it's gone up by 200% per year for 10 straight years. Think about, does this really make sense? Is this consistent with my true great goals in life? Or am I getting maybe steered the wrong way because emotions have taken over? Emotions, they can be lousy factors for making intelligent decisions. We don't want to really make emotion-based decisions. We prefer to make logical-based decisions. But that's life. We're humans. We've got emotions. Sometimes we feel a bit sad and want to buy $35,000 travel trailers. Doesn't make sense, but there you are. Anyway, if you got any questions, let me know. I'm Brad Brain. I'm here to help. Stay healthy. Be well. Take care.